Under the Trump administration, members of the intelligence community have been endlessly smeared, but national security officials have only been somewhat smeared. And now Donald Trump's own former national security officials, along with a whole bunch of others, have completely turned on him, signing a letter saying the Ukraine whistleblower, which we now know are actually multiple as we get a second whistleblower close to coming forward, the Ukraine whistleblower did nothing wrong, and the Ukraine whistleblower deserves to be protected. And once again, we should all know this, and once again, more people fall off of being able to defend the absolutely indefensible actions of Donald Trump. This letter was signed by 90 former national security officials, and some of them literally worked for Trump, like James Nealon, Roberta Jacobson, and Andrea Kendall Taylor. It otherwise is signed by a whole bunch of Democrats and a whole bunch of Republicans. Now, there's something interesting here. There are two ways to interpret when Republicans and Democrats agree about something in politics in the United States, because Democrats and Republicans agreeing does not happen often, and it's not by default a good thing. I'll explain what I mean. Very often, when Democrats and Republicans agree on something, it's an element of our political system that reinforces the status quo. So, for example, on lots of broad issues, Republicans and Democrats are basically deferential to the way that things are. Campaign finance, for example, in terms of actually changing the laws around it. The military-industrial complex and funding of the Pentagon. There are exceptions, of course, mostly Democrats, but those are areas where you see a lot of deference from Republicans and Democrats to the status quo and defending the old guard. So sometimes when you see Democrats and Republicans agreeing, it's not actually a good sign. But this is not that. This is both Democrats and Republicans standing up to defend the speech of those who want to hold government accountable. They are standing up to protect someone who is trying to raise an alarm about what government is doing. So we have to take it very seriously. And Trump has, of course, completely panicked over this and spent the morning with unhinged tweet after tweet, including endlessly smearing the whistleblower, who, of course, has done nothing wrong. One example tweet of the incoherence and panic, Trump saying, declassified information contradicts the whistleblower, Fox and Friends. But why are people surprised? The partisan whistleblower was very wrong on what was said on my perfect no-pressure call with the Ukrainian president. Bring in another whistleblower from the bench. I'm actually realizing that Trump's pathological lying and constant use of projection makes it easier to figure out the truth from what he tweets. When Trump says it was a perfect no-pressure call with the Ukrainian president, that means the opposite. It was a call specifically to pressure Ukraine, which is exactly what the whistleblower claims. And by the way, Trump got this from Fox and Friends. Understand that what Donald Trump has at his fingertips are the most up-to-date analyses and data from 17 or more agencies, from intelligence professionals. And instead, Trump is gathering information and building his point of view from Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade on Fox and Friends. If we don't fix this, we deserve what we get as a result. And I don't say that in any kind of threatening or demeaning manner. It's if people aren't paying attention or are so skewed in how they interpret what is taking place, that this doesn't raise the alarm to a degree that we can remove this guy in November of 2020, then in a sense, we deserve what we get because it's pathetic and it would be a huge embarrassment, which, by the way, the embarrassing element I'm going to deal with later this week in audience questions. Let me know your thoughts. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show. Today's program brought to you in part by Blinkist.com/Pakman. Blinkist is a great service that I use all the time. What they do is they take thousands of the most popular nonfiction books, including the newest bestsellers. They condense them into 15-minute audiobooks that you can listen to, and you still get the most crucial information and insights from each book. And I've listened to a ton of books on Blinkist. I recently checked out Soccernomics by Simon Cooper. We do have, after all, the World Cup going on recently. We also have been talking about BS Jobs, and there is a great new book, BS Jobs by David Graeber, which I listened to on Blinkist. They're constantly adding new books to the platform. You will never run out of fascinating and critically acclaimed books to enjoy. And our audience can get a 7-day free trial by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm putting a link in the video description. And after the free trial, if you like it, you can continue enjoying thousands of condensed audiobooks for about $5 a month. That's BLINKIST.com/PAKMAN.